So shadow healing is essential to the process of ascension, to the process of freedom. Shadow is interesting. Shadow is kind of scary when you look at it in the terms that it has been for the last 10 years, where this part of the psyche, they kind of like, no matter how good you try to be, it comes up and tries to bite you, you know? Like there's a part of myself. I have my good little angel self on one shoulder and my bad little devil self on the other shoulder. We've been living this duality, this level of duality in our psyches. That's like the part that says, I'm going to eat healthy this week. I'm going to do really, really, really well. And the other part says, chocolate cake. Now. And you're like, the impulses are caught like this. One leg wants to run that way, one wants to run this way. This goes everywhere. It goes into relationships. Oh, this person's a really nice person. This could be a really good relationship. Shadow goes, oh, look at that. Over there. Oh, that looks better, doesn't it? So you're constantly in a state of pull and push within yourself. We're living a duality complex. Now, people that think they're above and beyond the shadow are in trouble because they're denying that part of themselves. So they're not going to be able to fix it. They're not going to be able to heal it. As we begin to acknowledge that we have this part, and we don't have to pick it apart with a psychological comb. I mean, if you go to psychology to help with the shadow, you can spend from now until your next 5 lifetimes on the couch and not get to the bottom of it. You know? How many bad episodes from this life and others do you have to go through before you find the core of that problem so you can release that issue, whatever it was? And then what's the issue after that one? The shadow collects the issues. It's the collector of all those parts of yourself that felt lousy, that reacted poorly, that was picked on, that played victim-victimizer games. Your shadow collects these parts of self. And it's these parts of self do direct you from a subconscious level. You cannot get to be a spiritual master if you do not master and heal the body. The shadow is connected directly to your atoms. It's connected, especially in certain parts of your atoms. There are things in atoms, in the nucleus of atoms, that are called neutrons. Neutrons are a key particle, or subatomic particle. They're a key particle in the body's ability to run the higher frequencies and the higher forces to be able to undergo cellular transmutation. There's one particular mutation that's demonstrated in science. Now, I think there's only one, from what I've heard, there's only one type of molecule that does not have neutrons in the atoms, in the nucleus, and that is the hydrogen atom. Now, interestingly enough, and by no coincidence, I'm sure, guess what elements hold together in the DNA chains, hold the DNA chains together? The hydrogen bond at the center of each of the ladders. It's through the natural hydrogen bonds that what's called turnstile DNA, which is a natural set of transient DNA that pops on into activation, that allows more chemicals to be produced in the body, that allows for physical transmutation through stargates to occur. There's been a mutation done on this planet in the elemental kingdom that we're carrying that literally has taken the neutrons out of the hydrogen atoms in our DNA bonds. When we begin to work with radio body, healing, clearing, and activating, we're going to be putting back what's missing. Now, the shadow lives in the spaces where things that were supposed to be aren't. It also lives in certain parts of the elements within our body. Our water molecules hold part of the shadow. There are certain metals in the body, elemental metals in the body that are holding the shadow. The shadow is a part of our coding, our own DNA templates that are in reversal. They're running the opposite mathematical program to what our natural divine blueprint is. The shadow progressively draws energy. We draw energy in from the planet, from the universe, and the shadow draws energy from us. And progressively, the body deteriorates much more rapidly here than it was ever supposed to, because the shadow is taking the energy, and it's actually a part of your consciousness that's getting twisted, that's getting messed up and confused and going into base patterns of fear and lack and all of those things. And it creates a set of impulses within the self that can very often control or take charge of the emotional body, and if it gets really strong, can take control of the mental body and the action body sometimes, where you become afraid of yourself. Do you ever have like those days where just something came over you and you felt really lousy, and then you just lost your temper? Some people have temper problems, They have a short fuse, as it said. They blow quick, right? This is a person who has the shadow that's trying to get control of them at that time, the part of the consciousness that's convoluted and twisted, and it's trying to take control of the body and override the organic stabilizing personality. Your shadow self isn't evil. Your shadow self is a part of yourself that's in distress. It's been victimized by certain conditions on this planet that were not organic. So it's a part of yourself that you need to realize is there. And like nobody's going to run away and say, I don't have a shadow. I'm impeccable. I've met a few that are doing this. And they, yeah, right. You should see what your astral body is doing right now. You know, they'll be standing there going, you know, looking at me like, how dare you see me? I know you see me. You know, this kind of stuff. We could go through the, let's say, the cosmic body wash and become pure and impeccable right now. Flash off into the other worlds, get totally purified. Flash back on here, we got a shadow again, because the planetary grids have the twist, this filter that polarizes energy where it's not supposed to be polarized. This eye of the jackal is a planetary implant. And what that does is manifest. As soon as our consciousness and our energy comes back down into form here, it will put that back in. What can override that and set it back to its natural pattern is working directly with the radio body that we're going to learn how to do, you know, beginning tomorrow with the Dance for Life program. So we're going to meet our shadows, and we're going to learn to love them and bring them home. As we do this, we're setting ourselves free from a level of manipulation that most people don't realize is there.